Hi.
Here we are.
Yeah.
It's all new.
Where are we?
Making changes.
Yes.
I think that's appropriate.
Hint, hint.
Yeah.
I feel like we should say welcome to our office.
Welcome to our office. Yeah,
This
we're
is
from the
our
next.
office. This is our actual office.
Yeah, we're sitting here, our fully vaxxed selves
Yes.
in our less than 6 feet. We're feeling very good about that.
We're very daring.
Right. But this feels different, doesn't it?
Yeah, I like it though.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What about you?
I do, but it is different. It's been a long time since there's been 2 people in the office together.
Yeah.
For a long time.
Yeah, and this change is gonna come fast and furious for everybody.
Yeah.
I feel like.
You picked a song about change, didn't you?
I think I
Okay.
did.
What do you have?
So our song of today is from Paul Weller and his band, his second band, the Style Council, and the song is "My Ever Changing Moods."
So where did the Style Council fit into his
career?
Right.
It was his once the first band, the Jam, broke up.
Okay.
He then went on to the Style Council, which was super different from what he was doing with the Jam. So
it has so I hadn't heard the song before you picked it.
Yeah.
We listened to it getting ready for the show, and it has a very glamorous 80s feel.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers to that.
Glamorous 80s. Let's go. But this was a big song.
Actually, it was huge in the UK, as is everything he does. But for the US, they actually retitled the album that song because it was so popular here. And it was the only song that ever reached top 40 for him in the United States.
Huh.
And I've seen him in the US, and it's
really?
You feel like you're part of like such a little group when you go see him, because it's not like going and seeing like the Rolling Stones or Bruce Springsteen. It's like it's UK.
A little private.
Yeah, it's a little private.
Select. I like that.
So yeah.
But you're feeling a lot of changes coming on. So as we record this, just yesterday, the CDC changed its guidance about masks and distancing for fully vaccinated people, and obviously every state and locality and even building is different, and so there's going to be lots of changings. But that was sort of a momentous thing. Is that what sort of made you think about this song?
Yeah, I was just thinking about, we're going to do our happy hour. What song can we talk about that would kind of make us talk about how the world, it's always changing, right? But last year, it changed, like it just dropped us on our head, and it was the most change I've ever experienced.
Well, and for a minute, there's a ton of, we have to re-engineer everything, but then in some ways, life was not changing at all. Like you're sitting in your living room working on your computer.
I know, it's like the Twilight Zone of what? Where am I? What's happening?
So, but this, we could talk about 80s pop forever, but we might have to talk a little bit about agency life, yeah?
Yeah, so if you don't know Paul Weller or the Jam or the Style Council, summer is a perfect time to get to know them, because they're a little bit the lyrics are very poetic, but they're very on point with the culture, and we'll talk about it later about the lyric that I want to talk about, but highly recommend.
Yeah. So. Well, it has a very much of a kind of laying by the beach or by the pool side.
Or by the river.
Okay. Right. River. A body of water is involved.
Just not the Willamette.
Oh, gross. So.
Yeah.
Why is this, let's talk about agencies going through change. I focus on the legal bits, but these are people living lives. What do you think? Just when you think about our life here at Matchstick, what does this type of change mean to you? Coming back to the office?
Yeah. Well, my first question to you was just about that, and it's about what changes can agencies expect to be making now that we're kind of past it, the brunt of the pandemic. I don't know if I can say that.
Yeah.
We're gonna come at me. Don't at me, please.
It's might be too soon.
But the feeling is hopeful, right? And there's more people going back to their office. So my question for you was, what kind of changes can agencies expect to be seeing, and see if you can talk about that.
Well, obviously on the legal side, I can tell you in the last 3 days, I've gotten a number of inquiries about the rules about can we require employees to get vaccinated, and then with the announcement yesterday, how does that analysis change? And it's actually changed quite a bit and favorably for the agency. I think we are also seeing, brands, the clients, are being more aggressive with agencies. I think they think that agencies are desperate for work, and so the brands are trying to be more aggressive to really screw the terms. But
that's
that would be, and there might be some agencies in that position, but we have a lot of clients that came out of, it was difficult days, but came out of 2020 almost better off than they finished 2019, which is great, right? Not everybody, and it's been a challenge, but I think dealing with those types of pressures from employees and vaccination and what their clients might be asking for, trying to take advantage of, will be some new issues that they haven't had to deal with before. What do you think, just culture and lifestyle-wise? My kids are older, your kids are younger.
Yeah.
Being at home
was
a necessity.
Kid.
Right. Your one kid being at home was a necessity.
Well, yeah,
for school.
the flexibility thing is a huge thing for not just people with children, but for anybody that kind of had to shift the way of working into a whole other thing, and they learned how to make their systems work at home, and all of that had to be set up, and then a year later being asked to, be back, and just like that, it's just it seems very rushed. But so that's kind of I expect everybody to go through that change and to kind of take it at their own pace. What do you think of how people should deal with that? I mean, obviously you here have had it, it's very flexible for us to come in, once or twice a week, and it's always been really flexible. But how do you think that should be in other places?
I think it'll be interesting, as I mentioned the kids, just because, when the kids can go back to school full time, I think there's going to be a lot of parents that'll be like, yes, my house is finally quiet, or my office is finally quiet. That will still be there, but I think the flexibility is good for agencies, and a lot have adopted it. We've seen a number of agencies obviously drop their leases and become fully remote, or downsize, or just recognize that they have a multi-state presence, right? That they're not just Portland, Oregon, or San Francisco. So those present, those are some things to deal with. Those are solvable, but I think we'll be, adjusting to this type of life. As long as we were, in lockdown, in quarantine, I think it will be adjusting to what it's like to be coming out of it as well.
Yeah, it'll take just as long. You
picked some lyrics out of this tune, though, that you liked. There's something about suing the bosses but we don't.
That's your lyric. Yeah. So the lyric that I picked from this song is kind of, it says the hush before the storm, and the wind after the blast, and that kind of made me think of how last year was kind of like a bomb that was dropped on the freaking world.
For sure.
And we all had to deal with it, and it got very quiet in March and April, and then we kind of are getting out of that. And one of the changes that I think that agencies have to deal with is kind of getting their employees to want to, be excited about rejoining, or, just be excited about what the change is going to be. You don't have to stay the same and you don't have to be, completely remote if you don't want to. I know I personally wouldn't want to be remote.
Full time.
Working outside and being outside in the world means a lot to me. So there's probably other people that feel that way, that want to go back, but they need to kind of like, you gotta be nice to your employee.
Well, we have a small shop and our team has stayed consistent over this last year, but larger shops have had, people had to have big layoffs and then hire back, and they got really busy, and maybe they've even grown. And so the team, the people that were your friends or your desk mates or whatever when you left a year ago, when you had to go home, they might not be there anymore, and you're going to be meeting and having these interactions, which is great and exciting, but it's not everybody's cup of tea. And I think recognizing that it's going to be everybody's first day at a new job all over again. Like everybody, even your longtime vintage employee, will be meeting new people and having new interactions and changing what's been real for them for the past year. And I think that's totally unique, right?
Yeah. And you can wear sweatpants to the office.
Right. That's right. No sweatpants, please.
Well, maybe that could be like an incentive, like sweatpant Fridays.
Sweatpant Friday?
Instead of casual Friday, like pandemic Friday. Just bring, how you were doing it at home, come to the office
bring
and
the
do
kids, like let them run around, just like whatever, we can manage it. Well, I really liked thinking about how change is important. Like our office Matchstick, in July, we're moving to a new building, and our lease was up, but also we needed a reboot for ourselves, just for our people and for our lives and our practice, and we're looking forward to that freshness, and we're already experiencing that excitement now. And I think that's a real thing, like thinking about a reboot on life. And so finding, whether not everybody can change their space, but finding ways to recognize that reboot and that rebirth I think is going to be a natural thing that everybody wants to do and wants to participate in.
Yeah, I want to.
Right.
But again, you have to kind of know your people and know how to ease them into it, because that's how you get the best results.
Yeah.
Not when you jerk people into making a choice. I think that's not a good way to go about it, especially because they had to adapt to something completely different. So yeah. And another thing, another lyric that I was gonna bring up was that in the song it says, "Evil turns to statue," and that made me think of not only like the whole last year of people bringing down these statues of Confederate leaders, but also like connecting to that is you don't want to become the statue agency that doesn't know how to change, and therefore people don't want to work for you or with you because you're not adopting to the time. And like I see progress as being more inclusive. So that's the whole thing. Don't be a statue.
Right. I think there's this temptation that we've had so much change in our lives that in a sense, like you want to go back to your business, and maybe there's an attraction to just doing things, but you just want something to be normal. And it might be tempting to like do some of the same things, but I guess, optimistically, I'd say embrace the newness and look at your contracts anew, look at your onboarding procedures anew, look at your hiring procedures anew. Ask people who've never been involved in those processes to participate, to give feedback on the contract or to give feedback on the job descriptions, and like get comfortable with things being different and changing. And I think that makes you more dynamic and stronger as an agency. And there'll be things don't always have to be like on fire change, but like a little bit of change all the time, I think is good.
Yeah, you don't want to be dirty pool of water in a tire somewhere. I don't know. I think change is great. You know, it can be toxic if it's too much, obviously, but change in small doses and like very well thought out is great.
Well, I think this was a perfect song for a perfect new venue for us and to talk about and to think about the future, which I'm very excited about.
Mm-hmm.
Should we go change our cocktail?
Yes.
All right.
Cheers.